Welcome to ATRIOX Talks. I was waiting for you.
You said you were gonna start it up just off the
We're
cuff.
both talking. Okay. You know what? No, this is staying. This is as good of an intro as we can do. This is so natural. This is staying.
Yep,
Hi, I'm Isaac,
I'm James.
and this is ATRIOX Talks, where we're going to be exploring the galaxy far, far away. We're going to be talking about Star Wars stuff, just two nerds hanging out, fun, two geeks, if you prefer that term. We're just here to have fun and spread our knowledge.
Yep.
So, James, when did you first get into Star Wars?
Cool. God. Um,
God,
yeah. God gave it to me. Just gifted it to
God,
me.
God.
Yes, I created Star Wars. If you didn't know that. Um, ooh, you're bugging a little bit. Um,
Sorry, I'm walking around. I'm so excited.
yeah, no, I get that. But no,
I gotta sit down.
yeah. Just if you sit down, your Wi-Fi can't handle this. Um,
Your headset can't handle it, apparently.
Evidently. But no, I think I was eight, 8 years old, and first media of Star Wars was the Force Unleashed game on the Wii, and then
Mm.
shortly after that, it went into Clone Wars, and then the movies, and then the sequels, which, yeah. Um,
We'll talk about our thoughts on the sequels another time. Let's not chase away half our audience in the very beginning episode.
yeah.
Talk
Yeah, no,
about that later time.
yeah, just started with Force Unleashed, just doing that, and then
Mm.
went to some of the other media, and then really kind of hardcore dived when I was like 13, 14, started actually understanding the story and the lore of everything.
If I may, if you know, what 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 made it interesting to you? Like what made you want to dive more into it?
Oh, funnily enough, when I first started watching Clone Wars, Grievous captured me just right off the cuff.
Grievous.
It
That makes
was,
so much sense.
yep, yep. So, Grievous was a big part of it, but I'm a, as you know, military nerd, so seeing
Yeah.
the vehicles and the starcraft and the warships, it just seeing all that really caught my eye,
Mhm.
and so that's what got me into it. And then I started focusing later on the characters and the story and the lore behind everything. But what hooked me was the machinery.
Okay, that's awesome. That's interesting. Both of us got into Star Wars from a video game. That's really interesting. I
This
started
was
out when, huh?
I was gonna say yours was the Lego Star Wars, right?
Mine was Lego Star Wars, the original trilogy, Lego Star Wars 2 on the PlayStation 2. But not only that, at the same time, I was 6 years old,
Hmm.
and a buddy of mine in kindergarten, first friend I ever made, outside of family, of course. He had introduced me to Star Wars, and I didn't know what it was, and I had been playing Lego Star Wars 2, and I didn't correlate that they were the same thing until later.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with Star Wars, and actually, I did not start with Clone Wars. Clone Wars was one of the last things I actually ended up watching.
Really?
The first thing I started with was Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back was the first Star Wars media I consumed,
That's interesting.
and then that
That was the
was.
first movie I ever watched, was that one. I,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, man. Empire Strikes Back. I watched it. I watched
no,
that movie more times. Huh?
I'm so sorry.
What?
I got this wrong. I got this so wrong.
What'd you get wrong?
My first My first time no doing anything Star Wars was actually Revenge of the Sith, and then I started playing
Really?
the game, and then did the others. Yeah, because I'm remembering now, we watched Revenge of the Sith, and I didn't know what it was, and I distinctively remember the Palpatine uh, frying Windu with the lightning. I distinctively remember that scene.
Okay.
That was my first
Interesting.
thing. I've got that wrong.
Interesting. Interesting. Heck yeah, that's the best place you could start. Well, not the
Yeah.
best place, but it's best. In my opinion, that is the best movie. That is my favorite movie. But we're gonna touch on that another time.
Yeah.
With Star Wars, the thing that captivated me was the Force.
Hmm.
The Force is just like it's the focal point of everything. And it just was so cool. Like that would be so cool to have the ability to use the Force.
Hmm.
That's what tapped me to it. And of course, all of the lightsaber combat and just the Jedi and Sith in general were really intriguing to me. But yeah, man. So a couple more questions before we actually get into the subject. Um, what would you say your favorite Star Wars character is?
Oh, why do you give all the hard questions? Oh God.
You've answered this question for me before. This is simply for our viewers.
I don't remember what I said. I fluctuate so often on this.
That is funny because I actually remember you always give a different answer every single time.
Every
I'm pretty
single
sure.
time.
Even if
Oh. Okay. Let me think. Let me think.
well, you're thinking I've got mine tonight. It's pretty easy.
All right.
Mine is 100% Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. That's what Star Wars the first six movies in the Clone Wars is about. The Star Wars is if Star Wars were to have another name, it would be the tragedy of Darth Vader or the rise and fall of Darth Vader
Or just
because
Skywalker.
or just Skywalker because it's about Anakin. It is about Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. And yeah, other things happen around the galaxy. Of course, there's other stories to be told, but
Yeah. But the
the focal point of the
crux.
movies
Yeah.
is the crux of the movies is about Anakin Skywalker. And I
Yep.
just love him. I love him as a character.
You know, I've got so many people fighting for second and third place for me. Like there's so many. Oh God.
Who's first though?
I know. uh think I would probably have to go Grievous for one reason only.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the one character that instantly caught my attention and kind of
Mm-hmm.
reinforced my deep dive into Star Wars because I saw him and went, I want to watch every little media they have on this guy. And
Yeah.
I remember so on when we had Netflix, I remember I would go through Netflix and find the episodes that Grievous were in and only watch those episodes. I did that for like a week straight.
Yeah, dude. That's how I was with Star Wars. With the movies, I would go through and only find the Anakin and Vader scenes. Like I would skip whole sections just to see Vader.
Yep.
Because that's the first character that captivated me was Darth Vader.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things of Grievous and probably of Clone Wars, not the best, but one of my favorite personally, is Battle of Camino. I would watch that episode so many times.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good one. Arc Troopers. Yeah, man.
Hmm.
But yeah. Now let's get into the last question. That it would be how me and you know each other, which is actually it's a very funny story.
It's funny and it goes
Uh,
on for like 15 minutes.
we're gonna summarize it,
Yeah, yeah.
but you want to tell her? Or do you want me to? Like, do you want to?
You can do it, and if there's anything you miss or something I can add on, I'll just jump in.
Okay. So me and James, we met 2.5, almost 3 years ago,
Going on three,
and
yeah.
yeah. Oh, for reference, I am 21. He is 19. 19,
I'll be
right?
19 this year, you'll be 21 this year.
Okay,
Yes.
19. And so we are different age gaps. Like we didn't even know each other. We didn't go to school together or anything
Yeah.
like that.
No, hell, I was
We
homeschooled.
met through yeah. He's homeschooled. I went to public school, and we just yeah. But we met through a mutual friend of ours, um, and he is my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and we met via Battlefront One. Actually, that was the first time me and James interacted for like just me and you.
Yep.
Was Battlefront One, where you pissed me off so much because you are so good at the game.
I used to be. I am
Um,
not anymore. Good God.
yes, but you were, and it was just, oh man, that was frustrating. But eventually, we just started talking more, and we both like Star Wars. So that's why we started this, just to talk, hang out, and I want to teach him more about the intricacies of Star Wars because I would say you are higher than the average person who knows about Star Wars,
I'm pretty
but
well
you're not.
versed, but it's the
You're
lore
well
side of
versed, but you're
things.
not super. It's the lore. It's the
Mm-hmm.
lore side of things that you're a little bit behind in, which is why I made this podcast. We made this podcast. Sorry, not I. We. So that you guys can learn and him, and also I can learn from him because there are things that he knows that I have no context in.
Specifically
So
machines.
yeah, machines and vehicles. Yeah. So these first two episodes, we're going to be deep diving, or not deep diving. We're going to be doing a quick synopsis of the first six films for you viewers who might not know that much about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be deep diving into other things such as we'll be doing character analysis. I always say this wrong. We'll be doing deep dive character analysis of different main characters in the Star Wars universe. We'll be diving into history of certain things like the Sith, Jedi, the Force itself. We'll be diving into specific
That's
events.
gonna be heated.
That's going to be wild. I think the history of like the Sith and the Force and all that. That's going to be wild.
Oh yeah.
Um, the and we'll be going into we'll also every once in a while do some fantasy battles where one of us will take the side of a certain character and the other will take the other and research and come back and meet in the middle and hash it out and just see who we think would win between the two of them. So that's kind of what the channel is about. It's just to have fun, just to maybe learn a little bit about something that you maybe didn't know before, and vice versa with us. We do have an email, which we'll tell at the end. If we get something wrong, feel free to send an email to us, and we'll address it in the next episode for sure. Because if I say something wrong, I don't want to spread false information, especially about Star Wars. That would be heresy. That's terrible. But yeah, like man, we're just here to have fun. So we're gonna open up with the first three films. That'll be the first episode. Will be a synopsis of the first episode, second episode, and third episode. That being the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
So if you want to, we can get right into it and start that now.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start with the Phantom Menace, episode 1. We're going to give you a little bit of a state of how the galaxy is right now, and then we'll go into the events. So right now, the galaxy is I believe, it's in a time of peace.
Somewhat. Somewhat.
There's no wars going on. There's no wars going on. There's no like major battles or conflicts going on. Um, the Jedi are peacekeeping for the Republic. The Jedi are a group of individuals who use the Force for good, which the Force is it's an energy field in the Star Wars universe that has a will of its own and gives Force users the abilities that they have. But we'll deep dive into the Jedi specifically in the Force in another episode. Those will be coming very soon. But the Jedi are peacekeepers in the Republic. Galactic Republic is like the uh, political government that is in charge of the galaxy. And it's run by a Senate made up of delegates and senators from thousands, hundreds of thousands of worlds. Maybe not hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands of worlds.
Hey, real
But it's a
quick.
time of peace.
Real quick.
Mm.
I don't know if you're walking around or not, but you are starting to get a little digital, just a little bit.
No, I'm standing still. It's probably just because I'm running off data because
Probably.
my Wi-Fi is down right now. So right now the Jedi are kind of keeping the peace. There's no, like I said, there's no battles, no wars, nothing. Um, and everyone's just kind of settled down. It's been about 1,000 years since um, the last major conflict, I believe, or the last like war, specifically with the Sith, which the Sith are an order of Force users who use the dark side, and they're the villains. They use the dark side, generally associated with being the villains. But they've been extinct for 1,000 years. So it's been a 1,000 year period of peace. The Jedi have done nothing but thrive. Galaxy is a state of peace. So now we can dive into the Phantom Menace. The corporation known as the Trade Federation, which we're gonna
Basically,
die. It's gonna have its own, huh?
in a sense, they're like a they're kind of like a massive bank in a sense, but more so focused on trading. Is kind of how they
It's a
run.
massive trading company. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a massive trading import export company. Um,
Like probably
but
one of the only
we'll
ones in
dive
the world. It's massive.
in the galaxy. Yeah, it's one of the few in the galaxy.
Hmm.
But it is it'll get its own deep dive later on. We will actually be going into some of the corporations like the CSI, the banking clan, the Trade Federation. We'll be going into deep dives of them later on. But the
Yeah.
Trade Federation, what you need to know is they're a trade company, and they are extremely corrupt and greedy, very corrupt and greedy. The Trade Federation decides to set up a blockade around the peaceful Republic planet of Naboo. Naboo is a staple planet. It's a mid-core, I believe it's a mid-rim planet,
Mid-rim
if I'm
and
correct.
somewhat Earth-like.
Yes, it's very Earth-like. Beautiful planet. No army. No. There's no combat. Like there is, but there isn't. But we're about to get into that.
Yeah.
But all you need to know is the Trade Federation has set up a blockade around Naboo for reasons unknown to Naboo, or they are known, but there's a secondary meaning behind it. So Naboo is blockaded, and the Chancellor of the Republic, Chancellor Valorum, uh, sends 2 Jedi ambassadors to dispute the problem and broker peace between the Federation and Naboo. These ambassadors are Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and Jedi Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. A Padawan is a Jedi learner or Jedi apprentice.
Not a
Um,
not a full-scale Jedi, but someone who's being
Someone
brought
who's
up
learned
by a
being taught.
Jedi. Yes.
Yes. So after the ambassadors enter the ship or enter the Trade Federation blockade, they're sat down, and the Federation find out, oh, those are Jedi. Newt Gunray in particular, who is a Trade Federation leader,
He's
is
the leader?
freaking out.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He is the leader of the Trade Federation?
I I don't know. That's why I said he's one of the big leaders. I
Hmm.
believe he is the leader, but I can't say for certain.
I'll check
Um,
that real quick. Keep going. I'll check
okay,
that.
thank you. Um, Gunray contacts their secret ally. This is the hand behind the blockade, Darth Sidious. Now the blockade is set up there so that the Queen can sign. Well, we're getting a little ahead. They basically want Naboo to be under their control. They want to occupy Naboo under the hand of Darth Sidious, their secret ally. So he freaks out. He's contacting Darth Sidious, and he's like, "We've got these Jedi here. We can't, like, we're no match for Jedi." Sidious tells Gunray to send in his forces, kill the Jedi, and begin the ground invasion of Naboo. So the Trade Federation, just as of the past couple of years, has acquired and built a massive automaton army, a droid army. These are called B1 battle droids.
Real quick.
And it's a mhm.
Newt Gunray served as the viceroy for the Trade Federation, which does make him the leader of the entire organization.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. I wasn't quite sure on that one. So Gunray is attempting to have the Jedi killed in the ship, and then the ground invasion is beginning. So they're starting to load up troops and send them down to the planet so that they can sweep and conquer the planet. Unfortunately for Gunray, the Jedi are the way too powerful to be dealt with just battle droids. So they do evade the assassination attempt, but are forced to retreat when they come into contact with stronger units.
Known as droidicas.
Known as droidicas, but we'll get into droidicas another time. So, in order to escape the blockade, the Jedi hide on the invasion force, and they stow away and are brought to the planet by the invasion force. Once they get there, both Jedi encounter a Gungan. A Gungan is an amphibious alien species native to the planet Naboo. This Gungan is Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks takes the Jedi to Gunga City, which is a hidden city under the water of Naboo, where the Gungans live. This is where they thrive. So he takes them down there, and the Jedi use the Force to convince the Gungans to let them and Jar Jar leave and take a transport to reach the capital of Naboo, which is called Theed. Because now that it has become an invasion, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan have decided that the best move is to rescue the Queen of Naboo, Queen Amidala, and get her off the planet. And get her off the planet to Coruscant, which is the capital of the Republic. So they reach the surface, they rescue Queen Amidala, who is the main target of the invasion. She's the target of the invasion because they want her to sign a treaty making it legal for the Federation to occupy Naboo. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking like they invaded the planet, it would look like Naboo welcomed them and wanted them to be occupied.
Which, of course, like a defense force. Like they basically, making a treaty to make it look like it's a personal defense army.
Yes, but of course, Queen Amidala does not want to sign it, so they have her imprisoned and are trying to force her to sign the treaty. The Jedi find the Queen, rescue her and her security team and some of her staff, and fight their way to the Queen's starship, and are able to successfully take the starship and take off and are heading towards the blockade to escape. Now, they do escape the Federation blockade, but the ship was damaged. Now, the only reason they escaped the Federation blockade is because of the repairs done by a astromech droid called R2-D2. R2-D2 is commended for this and basically promoted. But there are still damages that R2-D2 was not able to fix, so they jump to hyperspace, but they can't make it all the way to Coruscant. Now, after they jump to hyperspace, Newt Gunray contacts Darth Sidious, letting him know that, hey, the Queen's gone, she got away, and Sidious decides to reveal his Sith apprentice, Darth Maul, and says that he will track down the Queen and bring her to Naboo. So we're shifting gears back to the Queen and the Jedi. Because the ship was damaged, they could not make it all the way to Coruscant, so they had to make a pit stop at Tatooine. Tatooine is a very remote desert planet. It's not under the Republic's law. It's not under the Trade Federation's, they're not in their trade system. It's run by gangsters, which is the Hutt cartel, which makes it better for hiding because the Hutts are not looking for the Queen. The Trade Federation is, and of course the Republic world would be better, but They can't reach any Republic worlds. So they land on Tatooine. Qui-Gon Jinn, R2-D2, and Jar Jar Binks all depart to find the necessary parts to repair the ship so they can continue to Coruscant. But the Queen has one of her handmaidens, Padme, embark with them because she's curious about the planet, considering she's never left Naboo. So the four of them, that being R2-D2, Qui-Gon Jinn, Jar Jar Binks, and Padme, they all are spending some time going from shop to shop looking for parts, and they eventually stumble on a junk dealer named Watto and his 9-year-old slave boy named Anakin Skywalker.
That name
Now,
sounds
after some,
familiar.
I know, right? I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you who it is. So Anakin is Watto's slave. Now, after some talking and bartering with Watto, Qui-Gon got nowhere. Even a force mind trick would not work on Watto because of the species he is. So they decided they would return back to the ship and try another avenue. But before they can get to their ship, there's a sandstorm about to brew. So Anakin Skywalker, after being sent home by Watto, decides to offer the four to stay with them during the sandstorm, since they won't make it to their ship in time. Here's where Anakin would introduce all four of them to his mother, Shmi Skywalker, who is also Watto's slave. And they all have dinner together, and that is where Anakin decides to bring up the idea of helping them out by winning a pod race. Now, a pod race is
Pause.
a
Pause.
high. Hmm?
I'm realizing there's something you did not mention. They went to Watto to get a part they needed to fix the ship, and in doing that, the credits, or the Republic credits that Qui-Gon had, it's basically useless on Tatooine. So
Yes.
Anakin was going to win what he's about to say, pod race, to get them the money to get that part.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're correct. My apologies. So,
You're good.
Republic credits are like the Republic currency. Now, since Tatooine is not in the Republic, that currency doesn't really matter out there. So they need hard cash to pay Watto for the parts. And this is where Anakin decides he wants to help them, and he wants to win a pod race for them. Now, a pod race is a high-speed hovercraft race. It usually takes place in naturally forming circuits,
crevices.
and it's naturally, it's extremely dangerous. It's extremely fast reflexes. Like, humans cannot generally race pod racers just because they don't have the technique or the skill set to do it, and they don't have the reflexes, and it's extremely dangerous. But Anakin has raced pods before and survived. So Qui-Gon and them all discuss it with each other. Shmi is against the idea at first, but after some talking, she agrees because she says there's really no other way that you can get off planet unless he helps you. And she specifically says he was meant to help you. This is like basically destiny. Now, Qui-Gon is going to sponsor Anakin during the race. And after hearing that Anakin can race a pod, Qui-Gon mentions that he must have Jedi reflexes, which is where Anakin asks if Qui-Gon is a Jedi, because Qui-Gon's been hiding it this whole time. He doesn't want to openly be a Jedi. And Anakin confesses to having dreams of being a Jedi, and just like there's a lot of signs that are showing Anakin to be a little bit force sensitive.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yes, just a little bit. Anakin and Padme and R2-D2, Anakin shows them C-3PO, the project he has been building for a few years, and he's nearly complete. So this is their first introduction to C-3PO. The night ends, and in the morning, Watto and Qui-Gon discuss him sponsoring Anakin in the race, and that Anakin is going to be flying quote-unquote Qui-Gon's pod racer. Which it is not. It is actually Anakin's that he has been secretly building and hiding from Watto. While Anakin is finishing up the pod racer, Shmi and Qui-Gon have a moment to talk about Anakin. And Qui-Gon, this is where Qui-Gon mentions that if they had found Anakin earlier, he would have been inducted in the Jedi Order. If he had been in the Republic, on a Republic world, he would have been brought into the Jedi Order. And he asks if Anakin has visions of the future and can see things before they're about to happen, which Shmi confirms these, which is a Jedi trait. Now, this leads Qui-Gon to ask about Anakin's father, which Shmi tells him that he did not have a father. Anakin was a miracle child, is what we would call it. This leads Qui-Gon to believe that Anakin was born of destiny. Like he was born from the Force. The Force created him. Which that might be a little confusing for those of you who don't know what the Force is and how it works. But like I said, just be patient with us. We will get into the intricacies of the Force in the next few episodes.
Yes, but
in the next few holocrons.
Yeah, and a quick rundown is essentially it's God of the Star Wars universe in a sense.
Essentially. Yeah. It's a less interactive God.
Yes.
So later that night, Qui-Gon, under the guise of checking Anakin got a cut, and under the guise of checking for infections, he was able to get a blood sample of Anakin, which he and Obi-Wan talked over communication and had it tested. And it was high in what is called an M count. Now, an M count, or midichlorian count, midichlorians we will dive deeper into in the Force episode, but a basic rundown is midichlorian counts kind of show they're an organism that lives in cells, in the cells of every living being in this universe, in this galaxy. The more midichlorians you have, generally, roughly equates to how strong you are in the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for an example, those of you who kind of know a little bit of basic stuff about Star Wars, Yoda's a very powerful Force user, very strong. He has, if I remember correctly, James, if you want to check this and make sure I'm saying the right thing, I believe it was 17 or 18,000 midichlorian count, RAM count. I believe.
I'm checking. Give me half a second. 17,700.
17,000. Okay, so yeah, 17,700. Anakin's midichlorians resulted in over 20,000, which is the highest amount of midichlorians that any Jedi or Sith has ever seen, to my knowledge, in a single being. So Qui-Gon is even more convinced that this boy is conceived by the Force because he's just so powerful. Now, Maul arrives on Tatooine, Darth Maul, the Sith apprentice of Darth Sidious. He arrives on Tatooine looking for Qui-Gon and the Queen. He sends out spy droids to all the cities and is looking for the Jedi. The following day, Anakin's preparing the pod racer, and Watto and Qui-Gon have another interaction where Qui-Gon makes this offer and adds to the offer. Now, the offer they made when Qui-Gon sponsored Anakin in the pod race was, if Anakin wins, Qui-Gon will give Watto whatever winnings they receive, minus the funds for the parts they need. and he can, yeah. So if Anakin loses, Watto gets Qui-Gon and the Queen's ship. They get the starship.
Yeah.
But Qui-Gon has now offered more in the deal, which is if Anakin wins, you will get the winnings and the pod racer that Anakin is flying for exchange of Shmi and Anakin being freed. Now, Watto pushes back hard on this and basically says, a pod racer is not worth 2 slaves. I'll give you one of them. Let's roll a dice to see which one you'll get. So they roll a dice. Qui-Gon does not want to take any chances, so he uses the Force to rig the dice and have it stop on Anakin. So if Anakin wins, he wins his freedom and the parts for the starship. And Watto still gets to keep the pod racer and any winnings he received. So now we go to the pod race, which Anakin wins by the skin of his teeth. I'm pretty sure all the other racers died. I'm pretty sure, did they? Did they all die? I'm pretty sure Sebulba is the only one who survived.
I don't know about all of them died, but I know only Anakin was the only one to cross the line because Sebulba, his main rival in that race, crashed out purposely most of the racers, and then I think 3 of them, I believe, had pod racer failures. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So Anakin wins the pod race. This is a massive feat for this young boy because he is, one, a human, and 2, he's 9 years old.
Yeah.
This is a 9-year-old child that just outdid experienced racers from across the galaxy in a race that humans can't even generally participate in. So he wins his freedom. He finds that out after the race. He agrees to go with Qui-Gon and go to Coruscant and to be trained as a Jedi. But he then realizes that his mom has not been freed.
Mm-hmm.
And this devastates him.
Well, understandably.
So, yeah, and you can't blame him. This is devastating. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So he does eventually end up going with Qui-Gon despite his mom having to stay there, but he does promise her that he will come back and free her at some point. Padme and Jar Jar and R2-D2 had already taken the ship parts to the ship that's getting repaired as Qui-Gon is bringing Anakin back to the ship. As they're approaching the ship, Darth Maul intercepts them, and Qui-Gon engages in a duel with the Sith assassin, telling Anakin to go to the ship and to have them take off. The duel stalemates when Qui-Gon jumps to the ship, and Maul is left on the sands of Tatooine. So now they're heading to Coruscant. All is good. The ship is repaired. They're able to make it to Coruscant now. During the journey, this is where Padme and Anakin falls in love with her right here. That's just a little tidbit, but I figured that would just be a little fun little mention, is that this is when Anakin falls in love with her. Now, it's not really important, but it is there. So they all get to Coruscant. They're greeted by Senator Palpatine of Naboo, Queen Amidala, and her staff and Anakin all stay in Palpatine's penthouse. And the Queen goes before the Senate to ask for help and assistance on the invasion of her planet. After seeing how, and I'm going to be fully honest, how shitty the Senate operates.
If you thought the
Because
U.S. government was bad, the Senate puts the U.S. government to shame.
Yeah, no, the Republic Senate is so bad. They get nothing done. No action has been decided. It's just a bunch of bull. So the Queen is, after Palpatine is talking to the Queen, Senator Palpatine and Naboo, the Queen decides to put in what is called a vote of no confidence. Now, this is basically anyone could do this, I'm pretty sure, but this is a vote. This immediately enacts a vote throughout the entire Senate on no confidence is basically, I don't think the Chancellor is doing a good job. It's time to do a new Chancellor. Doesn't matter how long your term is left.
In a sense, it's an impeachment.
It's an impeachment, potentially. So they're all voting whether to impeach him or not right now. So a new election is about to take place. While that's going on, Qui-Gon goes before the Jedi Council. The Jedi Council is kind of like the decision makers of the Jedi. It's a council of 12 members that are all kind of rotated out depending on their knowledge of the Force, their skills, their wisdom, their knowledge. They kind of switch up members here and there. But there's some people that are like stayers. There's some solid there's some star players of the Jedi Council.
And most of them are pompous.
Jedi Council. Most of them are pompous. Thank you. So Qui-Gon goes before the Jedi Council and is giving his report where he claims that the assassin is a Sith Lord that he fought on Tatooine, Darth Maul.
Keep in mind, Sith have not been seen for 1,000 years.
Yes.
Minimum.
The Sith have been quote unquote extinct for 1,000 years. So the Jedi Council is kind of like, I don't know, dude. Were you on something? Are you sure?
Like, were you on Death Sticks? You got on Tatooine? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. What's going on, man? Like, the Sith are extinct. We know this. So, not only that, but that was the first chip off the iceberg. Because then Qui-Gon has the audacity in their eyes to say that he has found what is called the prophesied Chosen One. The Chosen One is a Jedi prophecy that states, in simple terms, there will be a being that will be born of the Force to bring it into balance, to balance the light and dark side, and to bring balance to the galaxy. And the Jedi Council is like, let's see this boy. Let's see this boy here. So we're taking a step back to the Senate and Palpatine and the Queen. Palpatine has been nominated as one of the options for Chancellor, which he promises that if he does get elected, he will help Naboo immediately and be right on the ball and help them out. And Queen Amidala is like, oh, that's fantastic. But after talking with Jar Jar for a long time, Jar Jar Binks, and just thinking about it, she has decided that she wants to return back to Naboo to fight for it herself. And so she makes this decision.
Yeah, I gotta give props to the Queen, honestly. Like, actually going back to help your people, like, you don't see that too often, especially in Star Wars.
No.
So that was cool.
Oh yeah, man. So while this is going on, the Jedi Council test Anakin. They do like their initiation tests, and they eventually bring Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan back into the room, and they're like, we will not train him because he is too old, because most Jedi are brought to the Jedi Order at infancy, so they're raised as a Jedi. He's too old. He has attachments, so attachments are usually that's a big no-no for the Jedi, because attachments can lead to strong emotions, which the Jedi don't want to have strong emotions like that, because it can lead to the dark side. And then the third thing is just that the Jedi Council are kind of a-hole.
Uh, I think they deserve the full name for that. I don't think it needs to be abbreviated. I think they deserve it.
No, I'm no, I'm trying to. I'm being nice with my language. So they tell him, no, we're not going to train him, but we'll discuss this later. Right now, the queen is going to return to Naboo, and we want you three, to go with her and protect her. So they all leave, and this is where Qui Gon explains midichlorians to Anakin. Um, and so they leave the planet and they head back to Naboo. Now they got past the blockade, and Queen Amidala's approach is as such. So if you refer to earlier in the holocron, we spoke about the Gungans. That is one of two of the inhabitants of Naboo. The Gungans are the amphibious underwater residents of Naboo, and then there are the Naboo, which are a generally human-dominant civilization. Now, the Gungans and the Naboo have not gotten along. They are not. They're not tight with each other. They kind of hate each other a little bit. They don't hate each other, I would say, but they just don't like each other that much.
Hmm.
This is Queen Amidala's play, is to ally themselves with the Gungans and bring unification to Naboo and have the Gungans fight with them for Naboo and push the Federation off of the planet. So they all approach the hidden place of the Gungans because the Gungans had to leave the city that they were in prior due to the invasion. And Padme steps forward and reveals that she is actually Queen Amidala. She is Padme Amidala. Uh, because the Queen's little sneaky trick that she liked to pull was
She does
she
this
had
move a
her
lot.
handmaidens. Her handmaidens all look exactly like her. So you couldn't really tell which one was which, truly. So Padme is actually Queen Amidala of Naboo, and she comes forth and basically begs the Gungans and pleads with them as equals to help fight for Naboo. And the Gungans accept this, and they have a pretty big army. I would say the Gungans have a pretty solid army
Yeah, yeah. Nothing crazy, but
for
they're pretty good.
a single planet army.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the battle begins. The plan is, whoa, sorry. The plan is they're going to take Padme, Queen Amidala, her security forces, and the Jedi. They are going to go and try and take the capital back while the Gungan army fights the Trade Federation droid army front to front. So the droid army comes out to face the Gungans. The Jedi help the Queen rescue all of her security personnel, and they start to fight their way to the hangar because what the plan is the Federation droid army is kind of like a Wi-Fi network. The droids, the it kind of is though.
No, it is. That's just, I've never heard someone say it that way, but it is.
Yeah, the battle droids are all connected to a like control ship, which is in orbit in the blockade. This control ship, if it's destroyed or knocked out, all the droids will shut off. So the plan is to free all of the Royal Guard and the pilots so that the pilots can go up there and shut the ship down, the control ship. Once they reach the hangar, they free all the pilots. Qui-Gon has Anakin sit in the cockpit of one to stay safe and tells him not to move. They start to go to find Newt Gunray, who has taken over the palace, the royal palace. And this is where Darth Maul reveals himself truly to all of them. This is where Maul engages both Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn in lightsaber combat, while the Queen goes off to deal with Gunray.
And it's also the
Now,
scene where we get possibly the best music composed of any movie, but that's just personal opinion.
yes, the Duel of the Fates, yes. So we've kind of got 3 events going on, or 4 events actually. We got 4 events going on at the same time. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of we're not going to bounce back and forth between the 4 of them. We're going to go through one at a time, and we'll backtrack a little bit because obviously they're all happening at the same time.
Mhm.
So we'll start with the Starfighters. We'll start with the battle in space. So the Starfighters take off. The Naboo Royal Guard fly up to the control station and start fighting with the Federation flagship or the control ship.
Yes.
Anakin accidentally starts up the autopilot on his ship.
He's still in
And
the cockpit.
conveniently,
That's
R2,
what Qui-Gon
yeah,
said.
he's in the cockpit. And ironically, R2D2 is his astromech co-pilot. So the 2 of them are now in the space battle. Anakin takes off the autopilot with R2D2's help, and after a long fought battle, Anakin accidentally ends up going into the hangar inside of the capital ship and blowing
trying
it to
so
hell from
hard.
the inside.
I'm trying so hard not to spout out names of crap. I'm trying so hard.
I know. I knew this was going to be hard for you.
I'm trying so hard, man.
I knew this was going to be hard for you. So he blows the capital ship out from space. It's destroyed. We're going to shift gears to the Gungan army versus the Battle Droid army. The battle begins. The Gungans have a massive energy shield up, and the droids are basically trying to knock it down, which eventually they do. And
only from the inside. They had to breach the shield first.
only from the inside. Yeah, they had to get through the shield. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
they had
I'm not trying to
tanks.
cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. They literally had tanks trying to shoot this shield, and they could not breach it. Gungan energy shields were surprisingly effective. It's their weaponry
Yes.
that is not.
So the battle kind of ends with the Gungan army has lost. They've got them all surrounded. And then the droid control ship is destroyed, which all the droids shut down, which by the skin of their teeth, the Gungans have won the battle. Now we'll transition to Queen Amidala and her hunt for Nute Gunray. They are charging through the palace, taking out droid patrols. They've split up into 2 teams with Padme and her security team, and then a decoy Queen Amidala with her security team. So Padme's group is captured and brought before Nute Gunray, and he's still all about like, oh, you're going to sign the treaty. I'm going to make you sign the treaty right here. The decoy team comes in and starts causing havoc, which Nute Gunray's like, oh, this one must be a fake. That's the real one. And goes after the decoy team.
And keep in mind, Padme Amidala, the true queen of Naboo, is in like standard clothes, whereas the decoy queen is in the formal queen's dress.
Yeah. So Gunray taking his eyes off of Padme was a massive mistake because, which Gunray did not know this, Padme runs up to the throne, opens a secret compartment, and grabs 4 blasters and throws them to her security staff and captures the Viceroy successfully. The Gunray is captured. And that's the end of that confrontation. Now we move on to what I would say is the most important part of this entire movie, which is the Duel of the Fates. Now, this is Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon dueling to the death. Maul has what is called a saber staff, which is the double-bladed lightsaber. So he is taking on both of them at the same time. The duel goes on for quite some time down the generator shaft. Right? Generator shaft?
Somewhat. It goes through multiple rooms, starting from the hangar bay, down multiple corridors, and then into the generator room, which is basically like, in a sense, Star Wars equivalent of nuclear reactors that powers the whole city.
Yeah.
So they're in the power room,
Yes.
basically.
So they Obi-Wan
Reactor. Sorry, reactor room.
Reactor. That's right. The reactor room. You're right. Thank you.
That took me way too long to get.
Yes. So Maul is luring the Jedi to the reactor room. Qui-Gon is on Maul at all times throughout this duel. He is on Maul. He is putting pressure. He's backing Maul up. Obi-Wan had been temporarily dispatched for a moment, and is now a little bit behind the two. They reach the energy gates where energy barriers will come up between them on a timer, which stalls the duel. Once the energy gates come back up or come back off, Maul and Qui-Gon are back at it immediately, and now they're in the reactor room. Obi-Wan would almost reach them, but the energy gate closed on him, so he is standing there watching, waiting for the gate to open so he can join his master. Unfortunately, he will not have that opportunity because Maul ends up ramming his blade through Qui-Gon's stomach and fatally wounds the Jedi Master. This was part of Maul's strategy because Qui-Gon was a bit older and he wanted to drain his stamina. So now Qui-Gon is down on the ground. He's fatally wounded. And it's Obi-Wan versus Maul as soon as that gate rises up. The fight ensues, and Maul kicks him down the reactor shaft, which is basically just a giant pit. Pit, but it's effectively a bottomless pit. Obi-Wan holds on by like a little nub on the side of it. Maul has won. He kicks Obi-Wan's lightsaber down the shaft. It's gone. And he begins taunting Obi-Wan.
A little bit of pride.
Yeah, Maul is very prideful, and unfortunately, that would lead to his defeat right here because using the Force, Obi-Wan leaps up out of the reactor shaft, uses the Force to call Qui-Gon Jinn's blade to him, and flips over Maul and bisects him. Now, Maul falls down the reactor shaft and is presumed dead, which we'll get to that another time. But Obi-Wan has won. He goes over to Qui-Gon. He's holding his master in his arms as he's dying. And Qui-Gon has him promise to train Anakin. His dying wish is that Obi-Wan trains Anakin, that he must train the boy. And Obi-Wan agrees to this promise as Qui-Gon dies in his arms. So the battle is over. The Battle of Naboo has officially ended, and it moves on to other events. Palpatine was elected as the Supreme Chancellor. He is now Chancellor Palpatine. He arrives on Theed. The Jedi Council come to Theed as well. The capital of Naboo, the one that they just took back.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I got you. My bad. I caught it.
Yep.
Obi-Wan and Yoda discuss Anakin's fate, and effectively, Yoda is still like, no, the Council doesn't want to train him. We forbid you to train him. And Obi-Wan basically says, okay, well, you either train him, you let me train him, or I will leave the Jedi Order and take him elsewhere and train him myself. So Yoda and the Council are basically like, all right, we'll let you train him. One, because it was Qui-Gon Jinn's dying wish, and two, because they want to at least have an eye on this boy. All of the main participants in this are at Qui-Gon's Jedi funeral, where he is cremated, and Anakin and Obi-Wan discuss with each other because Anakin asks, what will happen to me? And Obi-Wan basically says, I am going to train you. You will be a Jedi. That I promise. And Yoda is talking to another council member who's Mace Windu. And they discuss the Sith Lord that Obi-Wan slew or killed. and they come to the agreement that he was a Sith Lord because he was able to best Qui-Gon Jinn, a very powerful Jedi, in combat. They
Hmm.
have no choice but to agree that he is a Sith Lord, but
Which they don't want to do.
they don't want to do. But the biggest question they are discussing between themselves is which one was it? Because the
Hmm.
Sith, after the right before the 1,000 years of the Sith going extinct, the Sith had a new rule. So they were like the Jedi before, where there was thousands of them. But then that became a problem with infighting and a bunch of other issues. So they decided on something called the Rule of Two: one master, one apprentice at any given time. So only two Sith in the galaxy. So Yoda and Mace Windu are discussing, and they're like, okay, which one did he kill? Was it the master or the apprentice? They don't know.
We do. They don't.
So we do, but they don't. So the movie ends with the Naboo and the Gungans declaring a unified Naboo and peace throughout, as long as they both still draw breath. So that's how that movie ends. That took longer than I thought it would, but we're gonna keep going.
Yeah. We,
Um,
we can get to three.
so
We can get to 3 episodes.
I think we can get to three. Yeah. So we're gonna move on to Attack of the Clones, which takes place 10 years after Phantom Menace. Now, I'm gonna
Holy
give a little
crap, it
bit of
is.
three little, huh?
Sorry, I just never realized the distance between the two movies. When you said that, I
Yeah,
thought back
dude.
like, holy crap, it really is that long.
Yeah. So I have a couple interesting facts for you, James, that I think you would enjoy. Some of them you probably know. You do know one of them. I know that for sure. But also, just for the viewers' sake, just a little bit of fun facts.
Yeah.
Uh, the name of the movie, The Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
This a lot of people think is in reference to Darth Maul. It is not in reference to Darth Maul. The
Really?
Phantom Menace is in reference to Darth Sidious,
Oh, duh,
because
duh.
he is the puppeteer of every event that's going on. He is the phantom threat that they have no idea about.
Yeah, that
That is
makes
why it is called the
sense.
Phantom Menace. Yes. The other tidbit I have is, James, do you know why that is called the Duel of the Fates?
Uh, be my first idea is because whichever one survived would have trained Anakin, and the fate would be different depending on who trains him.
You
That's
are
first.
100% correct. You are
Yay!
100% correct. The Duel of the Fates, the name of that song that plays throughout Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon's duel is the duel of Anakin's fate. Any survivors of that duel, Anakin's fate would be drastically changed forever.
If Maul if
And
Maul survived, it would have been a little different.
oh man, oh boy. So now I have one more little interesting fact. So this is unconfirmed technically,
Ooh.
but it's actually more confirmed than unconfirmed.
Hmm.
Anakin was not born on Tatooine.
I think I have seen this. Continue.
Anakin arrived on Tatooine at the age of 3.
Yeah, I've seen
He
this.
says this. He says this in the movie, and in all the Legends books, it says that he did not. He was not born on Tatooine. We don't know where he was born.
Oh, now I want to know where he came
No,
from.
exactly. Because my first thought, and viewers, if you don't know anything about Star Wars, you're not going to have any idea what I'm about to say. What if he was born near Mortis?
See, that's what I was
And
just
that
thinking.
and that's why he's the chosen one.
I was, yep.
That's my thoughts.
But but here's the question though. We don't, not question, but we don't know where Mortis is exactly because
That's my point, though. The only person who has been able to get to Mortis is Anakin.
yeah, but the Mortis people kind of allowed that to happen. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That is
Well, I guess yeah, that's
interesting.
true. They didn't know. They didn't know if he was the chosen one or not.
Yeah, and that's just a Clone Wars thing, but the show, I mean,
Yeah.
they were responding to a distress signal that they found, and it ended up taking them to Mortis, which is a massive thing, and that's going to be a long ass
That's a
video
load up,
later.
my dude.
Yes.
But anyways, let's continue to episode 2. We're gonna try to get through this a little bit faster. Man, I went through a rant. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This is 10 years later. Anakin is a Jedi Padawan. Obi-Wan is a Jedi Master. No, is he? Is he a Jedi Knight or Master?
He is a knight, becomes a master by the end of the episode.
Okay. So it is 10 years later. Padme Amidala is not the Queen of Naboo anymore. She is now the Senator of Naboo. She took Palpatine's place as the Senator, since Palpatine is the Chancellor.
Real
Now,
quick about that, this is something I actually realized in my last watching of this movie. I did not know this, but Palpatine is from Naboo, which hence why he was the senator of Naboo. I did not know that until I last watched this movie, which is a little depressing, but yes. So he is from Naboo.
yes, yes, he is. Um, so the movie opens with Padme arriving on Coruscant, and as soon as she steps out of the ship, it blows up. An assassination attempt has been made, but plot twist, it wasn't Padme, because she did the same thing she did as a queen. Padme had a dummy on the ship pretending to be her, and she was actually flying one of the escort ships, one of the escort starfighters, and she is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then she talks to Palpatine about it. She's like, someone is trying to assassinate me, and I think it is the separatists, Count Dooku's separatists. Now we're gonna
Oh,
explain
that's a
briefly what Count
jump.
Dooku and the yeah.
Oh, wow.
So a lot has happened. A lot has happened. There is a former Jedi who left the Order named Count or Dooku. His name is Dooku. He left the Jedi Order because of the corruption in the Republic. Now, Dooku actually became a Sith Lord. He became Darth Sidious's right-hand man. And the reason why is because they are about to stage the one of the largest galactic conflicts to ever exist. Count Dooku has made a separatist alliance, a bunch of worlds that have left the Republic and are forming their own government. With Dooku as the head. Dooku became the count of his previous homeworld, hence why his name is Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
And Padme think that he is behind the assassination attempts made on her.
Which, surprisingly enough, actually, real quick on the separatist side of things, the separatist government in and of itself is actually pretty daggum good. Like, it was surprisingly effective and fair for everyone in it. The core part of it. The core part of it. It was corrupt, but
it wasn't.
The one
It wasn't.
I know, it didn't get enacted because it was being influenced by other people, but I'm trying to remember where it is. Basically, there's a.
You talking about the Clone Wars arc?
I
Where
believe.
they go to. No, there's more going on behind the scenes that we'll talk about eventually. I can actually talk to you about it off recording on
Okay.
why that's not legit.
Yeah, because I know it's being tainted because obviously Dooku's in control of it, but
yeah,
the without Dooku, it was a decent system. Is what I'm basically trying to mention.
oh, yeah, I guess yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got Dooku making Sister's Alliance. Padme seems to think that it's him behind it. Palpatine's like, no, it's not him. Dooku's a very well-respected, like, aristocrat. He's a well-respected Jedi. Even the Jedi themselves are like, no, Dooku is not a murderer. He's not an assassin. He's a former Jedi. He's very respectable. So the Chancellor's solution is, all right, well, if you don't feel safe, let's appoint you some Jedi bodyguards. And he specifically mentions that Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Padawan Anakin Skywalker had just conveniently returned from a mission.
Oh, conveniently. So convenient.
Convenient, isn't it? So they appoint them as the bodyguards because Padme is old friends with Obi-Wan and Anakin, of course. So Anakin and Obi-Wan are appointed to her bodyguards, and Anakin is talking to Obi-Wan and basically says, I haven't seen her in 10 years, and he's like head over heels for Padme. Head over heels. Thinking about her every day since they departed 10 years ago, since they last saw each other. Every day, like just nonstop. So they become bodyguards, and another assassination attempt is made by a bounty hunter named Zam Wessel. This attempt fails, and Obi-Wan and Anakin chase Zam Wessel through the skies of Coruscant. Now they are able to bring her down, and as soon as they go to interrogate her, she is assassinated by
The
her
assassin is
employer.
assassinated.
Yes, by her employer, which we will get to later. So they have no answers. They have no answers. They have nothing. All they know is that her employer was another bounty hunter as well. All right. So then it moves on, and then this is where I start to lose a little bit of it. If I remember correctly, this is when Padme decides to return to Naboo. Yes. Because she thinks she'll be safer on Naboo, and the Jedi appoint Anakin as her bodyguard. Obi-Wan, this will be Anakin's first assignment away from Obi-Wan, because the two will not be together. Obi-Wan is investigating the assassinations. Now, this leads Obi-Wan to find out about the planet Kamino, which, interestingly enough, has been erased from the Jedi map, the Jedi Archives map.
This library, essentially, is the biggest collection point of any and all data in the universe, basically. It's got some gaps, but it's got most of everything there. If anything is done, it's in this archive, basically.
Yeah. So Anakin is bodyguarding Padme on Naboo, in her home, and Obi-Wan has traversed to Kamino, which is what his source had told him was they were a species of very efficient cloners. So Obi-Wan arrives on Kamino, and the Kaminoans, which are the residents of Kamino, they are cloners, and they basically say, "Oh, we've been expecting you." And Obi-Wan's like, "You have?" And they basically tell him another Jedi named Sifo-Dyas, over 10 years ago, put in a
interesting number that.
Hmm?
Interesting timeline for that. 10 years ago. Wait, how far away is this episode from the last one? 10 years. Interesting. Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Sifo-Dyas placed in an order for an army for the Republic, a clone army, because Sifo-Dyas foresaw the great conflict coming up that is about to happen. And Obi-Wan oversees what are called the clone troopers and agrees to how impressive the army is. He contacts the Jedi Council and is like, "Did the Council request for an army?" And the Council's like, "No, we did not. If it was not approved by the Jedi Council." Mm-hmm. So basically, no one knows where this army has come from.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Hasn't Sifo-Dyas been dead for a very long time? If not 10 years exactly?
Yes, Sifo-Dyas has been dead for 10 years, yeah.
Very interesting number, that. Interesting. Carry on.
I almost forgot about that. You're 100% right. 70th died 10 years prior to this.
Yeah, yeah.
You're 100% correct.
Carry on though. What were you saying?
So Obi-Wan requests to meet with the template for the clones. So the original host, the
Hmm.
original DNA host. That being is a bounty hunter, the bounty hunter named Jango Fett. Jango Fett is the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy. He is number one, only matched with another bounty hunter named Cad Bane.
Which I believe he
Which
also trained.
I don't know if that's the lore anymore. They might have changed it because
It
of
meant,
Tales of the Underworld.
oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
I've not seen that yet,
So
so I would not know.
yes. So Jango Fett is the original template, and Obi-Wan suspects Jango of being the assassin, which he eventually is proven correct when he finds Jango gearing up and getting him and his son Boba Fett a unaltered clone off-world.
Real
The
quick on
two enact
clones.
in.
Sorry, continue. I
Hmm.
thought, sorry, you finish that, and then I'll real quick on the clones. Because the unaltered part we didn't go through, so continue what you were saying, and I'll jump back to that real quick.
Yes. So the two engage in a fight on the landing bay or the landing deck, which results in Obi-Wan falling into the ocean and Jango Fett leaving the planet. Right as they are leaving the planet, Obi-Wan is able to throw a tracking device on the outside of the starship so that he can track them. But yes, let's go. You go ahead and dive into the unaltered clone. Why that's
Important.
significant.
Yes. So the way the clone troopers are designed is they have a rapid aging gimmick, we can call it, where they are genetically modified to age faster, which helps with
Two
not
times
only,
faster.
yeah, 2 times faster to be specific, so it's not, ah, to be specific, which makes processing them faster, growing them faster, and training them much faster so they can get more of them up and ready for the coming war.
Mm-hmm.
And Boba Fett, Jango Fett's kid, quote unquote, is a clone, but without that genetic modification. So he ages like a normal human does. So that was the significance between altered and unaltered clone.
Indeed. So, and backtracking, I did forget a very significant thing. Backtracking. Uh, Jango Fett, when Obi-Wan had asked him when they were speaking who had hired him as the template, he did not say Sifo-Dyas. He said he was hired by a man named Tyrannus,
Mhm.
which we will reveal later.
Mhm.
So Obi-Wan places the tracker and goes to track Jango. Now we're going to shift gears to two other things, that being the Naboo events right now with Anakin and Padme. So Anakin and Padme are slowly slipping further and further in love. Padme is reluctant at first, but she does eventually slip further and further for him. But it is at this point where Anakin starts to have, or reveals that he has been having nightmares of his mom dying and suffering. So, because he's by himself and there's no one to tell him no, him and Padme traverse to Tatooine.
Specifically, that
Yeah,
second part. No one there to tell him no.
because no one's there to tell him no. Yeah, no, that's the main thing right there. He goes to Tatooine again for the first time in 10 years. And he's looking for his
Oof.
mom. He encounters Watto. Watto's like, oh, wait, Anakin? And tells him that he sold his mom years ago to a man named Lars. And this Klieg Lars, freed her and married his mom. So he now has a stepfather and stepbrother. So he goes to meet Klieg and his family. This is where he meets Owen Lars, and his girlfriend Beru. They will be important later.
Very.
But Anakin is a few days too late because Anakin's mother was kidnapped by local Tatooine marauders called Tusken Raiders. Now, Tusken Raiders are like these, ignoring the new lore, the new, like the Book of Boba Fett Tusken Raiders.
It's like no Book of Boba
Tusken
Fett
Raiders,
in and of itself, really.
yeah. So the Tusken Raiders are like marauders. They are savages. They're like what's a good way to put it?
Human,
Rogues. It's like a rogue. They're like rogues,
yeah, humans turned beast in a
and
sense. Not like
they're not human. They're not human.
really. I thought they were.
No, no, they are not human.
Oh,
They are their own species. Yes.
oh,
Um.
I didn't know that part. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were just people that
So
went mad.
no, they are not. They are not human. They're human-esque, but they're not human. So Anakin or Klieg had told Anakin, like, hey, we tried to go get her back. We couldn't. Uh, there's just no way we can get her. She's been gone for a few months or a few weeks,
Damn.
I think, actually. And she's probably dead. And Anakin refuses to accept this, takes a speeder bike, and is traversing over the desert, stopping to talk to residents and find directions. Eventually, he does find the Tusken Raider camp and cuts his way into a tent secretly or stealthily, and finds his mom, who is barely hanging on. And he releases his mom, holds her in his arms, and she basically asks if it's him. And he said, I came back for you. And she says, I love you, and dies in his arms. This here is I would say the biggest, most important moment for Anakin,
Mhm.
because this is when Anakin taps into the dark side for the first time. He uses his anger and slaughters the entire Tusken Raider village. Men, women, children, did not matter. He killed them all. He killed them
Little angry
all.
that one.
He took, huh?
I said little angry that one.
Little angry that one. Can you blame him though?
No, not at all. But little angry that one.
Yes. So he returns back to Lars's farm where Padme was. Oh, by the way, C-3PO is fully finished now and was with his mom, not in the Tusken Raider camp, but when Klieg bought them. And C-3PO will be going with Anakin now because he is his droid. Padme and Anakin talk, and this is where Anakin reveals that he slaughtered the entire village. This was after he had buried his mom on Tatooine, and then he says this in particular, which is an important line for later. He promises his mom's tombstone that he will not fail again, and he promises this, and that he wasn't strong enough to save her. Padme comforts him and weirdly is okay with the genocidal tendencies that he performed. That's a discussion for another time, though.
And it's also been memed to
So
hell, so I don't think we're
it
gonna
has
get
been
into
memed to
that.
hell, but oh my gosh. So then R2-D2 comes out of Padme and Anakin's ship because they left Naboo and went to Tatooine, of course. R2-D2 and C-3PO come out of the ship and are like, hey, you got a message from Obi-Wan. So now we're going to pivot back before we see that message, and we're going to pivot back to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan tracks Jango Fett to the insectoid world of Geonosis.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Ugh. Geonosis has a massive asteroid belt where him and Jango have a starfighter dogfight where he convinces Jango that he is destroyed. by hiding amongst the asteroids after a rocket exploded behind him.
Was it a rocket or was it a uh uh oh, I know what it's called.
It's not a seismic charge.
Not?
No, it was rockets.
Okay.
There were seismic charges deployed,
Yes,
but
yeah.
specifically how he hid away from them was using there were trackers.
Right, yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Django goes down to Geonosis. Obi-Wan follows suit and tries to sneak into the factory, which he does. He sneaks into the factory. He finds Django with Count Dooku and the Separatists. And this is where you hear Dooku discussing with Newt Gunray, who has been cleared of all charges from the first movie by some miracle.
Because the Senate doesn't do anything, that's why.
Because the Senate doesn't do anything. So Gunray is actually the one behind the assassinations, and Dooku hired Django, which Django hired Zam. A little bit confusing there, but whatever. To assassinate Padme. And Obi-Wan leaves and tries to send a communication to Coruscant, but he can't reach there. So he is like, well, Anakin's on Naboo. Let me contact him.
He's
Oh,
on the move. Yeah.
he's not on Naboo.
Yeah.
What's he doing on Tatooine? Well, we'll send the message anyway. Sends the message, but mid-message, he is intercepted and captured by the Geonosians, which are a bug-like species. And Anakin gets this transmission and relays it to Coruscant, and the Jedi Council basically say, nope, stay there. We will deal with this. We will send Jedi over to get Obi-Wan. Padme actually, surprisingly, is the one who's like, no, he's your friend. We're going to go get him now. We're closer. So they agree to go and rescue Obi-Wan, and yeah, so they go to rescue Obi-Wan. Now, when they arrive, there's a massive scene with the droid factory where the Geonosians are mass producing battle droids. The
Second
same
generation.
style, but better. Second
Yes.
generation battle droids. These battle droids are not Wi-Fi enabled.
I can't with that. It's
These battle droids have mobile data.
Oh my God, no, it's so bad, but so true.
Mobile data, and they do not need a control ship to function. They can function individually.
Sentience in a
But
way.
they are mass producing these droids, massive scale, millions of them. So they are having trouble getting through the factory to get to Obi-Wan. Anakin's lightsaber is destroyed, and they are captured by Jango Fett and the Geonosians. So now we enter. We're actually backtracking a little bit. Not backtracking, but we're going to a different scene before we get to the arena. This is in the Senate right now, and the Senate is discussing the separatist threat. And they are also discussing that Jedi are about to be executed on Geonosis, and that Jedi have been captured, and that Dooku is behind Gunray is behind the assassinations on Padme's life. So the Senate wants to raise an army, or they don't want to raise an army. Palpatine wants to raise an army to fight the separatist threat. Jar Jar, being an idiot or a Sith Lord, depending on what you believe.
He's not, but it's a
joke.
it's an yes, it's an in-universe joke, but he is not a Sith Lord in any stretch of the imagination. It's just really moronic.
Jar Jar, who is a senatorial representative, he's like a step down from the senator. He's like kind of filling Padme's role right now in the Senate. He votes to give Palpatine more power and give him the power to raise an army, which they do because everyone in the Senate loves Palpatine. Palpatine is a very beloved chancellor. And Yoda goes to inspect the clone armies while Mace Windu takes as many Jedi as they can, hundreds of Jedi, to Geonosis to rescue Obi-Wan. Now we transition back to Geonosis, where for entertainment's sake, the Geonosians have decided to put both Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme, chain them up to poles, and they're going to watch them get eaten by exotic animals.
Yeah, shows you how twisted and effed up the Geonosians are.
Yeah, the Geonosians are bug-like species. They do anything they can.
Yeah,
Cut
and
that
I
out. Bleep that out. Bleep that out. Bleep that out.
Yep.
You'll be able to bleep that out, right?
I'll just voice over it I'll just go over and do a beep. That's all I'll do.
That works. So in the Geonosian arena, Obi-Wan is like, "Why are you here?" Well, no, sorry. I wish I had enough time to do research on Attack of the Clones. It's my weak point.
It is.
Backtrack. As Anakin and Padme are coming out to be chained up to the arena poles, Padme confesses that she does love Anakin and that she wishes that she could spend the rest of her, well, she will spend the rest of her life with him, but she wishes they had more time. And they
What a
kiss for the
time.
first time.
Yeah, what a time to confess your feelings for someone right before being sacrificed on a freaking pole. Yay!
Yep. So shenanigans ensue where the Jedi, Anakin and Obi-Wan, are able to evade the creatures by having them strike at the chains that is holding them to the pillars. They are fighting back, though it's a little one-sided considering there's 3 freaking exotic animals trying to kill them.
Massive, by the way.
Animals, mind you. Massive animals. Padme is kind of doing her own thing. She was able to climb up one of the pillars. She must have insane upper body strength, but I digress.
And core
She
strength.
She climbs up the chain or the pillar, and is using the chain as a whip. The Anakin is able to use beast control, which is a force ability that allows you to tame an animal, depending on the animal, of course.
Yeah.
To mind control one of them and ride one of them. With all 3 of them are on this one animal, and the Mace Windu makes his appearance. He approaches Dooku, Jango, and all of like the high command for the Separatists on their balcony, and ignites his lightsaber right in front of Jango Fett's throat. And Dooku turns to him and is like, "Oh, what a pleasant surprise! You're all here." Hundreds of Jedi in the crowd start activating their lightsabers, making their presence known. I'm an idiot.
You just missed something, didn't you?
Whoops. I sure did, didn't I? Because the animals were not killing them, they decided to have an entire droid army circle Padme, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. So they were going to die.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that. My apologies. So they're surrounded by an entire droid army. Jedi ignite their lightsabers from in the crowd, and Windu is on the balcony with Dooku and Jango. So all the Jedi go down and form a circle around Kenobi, Padme, and Anakin. They give the 2 Jedi lightsabers. Padme picks up a blaster, and
from the battle droid.
Windu is driven off the platform by Jango using a flamethrower, which Jedi cannot block very easily. So he leaps off the platform.
It's flame.
Because it's flame. And the battle begins. Hundreds of Jedi versus thousands of droids. So the conflict is ensuing. And Jango Fett comes down into the battlefield and engages Mace Windu in battle. And unfortunately, one of the creatures that was meant to kill the Jedi is able to damage Jango's equipment. And this results in a malfunction, which allows Mace Windu to behead Jango Fett. Now, mind you, Boba Fett is on the balcony watching this, so he has watched his father be decapitated in front of him by a Jedi.
To
So,
generational hate for Jedi.
yes. So after some conflict, Dooku orders the droids to stand down. There's like maybe 30, 40. I don't even know how many Jedi survived. There were so many dead Jedi.
I believe
Like the
like
Jedi were losing.
yeah, I believe like 40 of them survived the entire.
Yeah, there were like 40 or 50 out of like hundreds.
Yeah.
So Dooku gives them the option to surrender and join him, which Windu is like, no, we're not going to join you. We're not prisoners to be bartered with. And so as soon as he's about to give the order, in comes the cavalry. The clone army has arrived with the guidance of Master Yoda, Grand Master Yoda. And the first battle of this conflict begins. The Battle of Geonosis ensues. Battle of Geonosis, and Dooku flees and is trying to get off planet with the Death Star plans. The Death Star will come into play much later, but it was concepted here. So it is droids versus clones and Jedi generals. It is a massive battle for the planet. Obi-Wan and Anakin see Dooku fleeing and they pursue him. Anakin freaks out because Padme gets knocked off the ship that they're on and hits the dirt with a clone soldier, freaks out, but Obi-Wan is able to get him somewhat back in check and be like, we need to get Dooku, we need to finish this war before it begins. So they all converge onto a private hangar with Dooku's personal starship in it. Dooku engages Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Anakin impatiently rushes Dooku and immediately gets Force Lightninged, which is a Force ability the Sith can use. I would hope you would know that. I mean, you know what? No, whatever. He gets pushed to the side, and he's incapacitated immediately. So Obi-Wan is left alone with Dooku, and Dooku dispatches Obi-Wan just as fast, very quick. As Dooku is about to kill Obi-Wan, Anakin gets back up, and they engage in an actual duel where it results in Anakin losing his arm. Dooku cuts off his arm, and then walks in Yoda. Yoda comes in, and the Grand Master of 800 years duels his former apprentice, Dooku. And that ends in a stalemate, with Dooku leaving and escaping by putting Kenobi and Skywalker in danger, making Yoda go to protect them, and Dooku flees the planet. And so the Battle of Geonosis is won by the Republic. The Republic army wins, and Anakin gets his arm replaced. Obi-Wan I believe this is when he is promoted to Jedi Master, and he is actually offered a seat on the council, the Jedi Council. Unless he was already on it before, I'm not sure.
I believe that's. I will look it up, but I believe after the first Battle of Geonosis, that is when he becomes a master and is offered a seat on the council.
I don't know. Yeah, so the Clone Wars begins. The Jedi become generals in the Republic army. and Anakin and Padme are married in secret. They become married on Naboo, and they're husband and wife now. Okay, it's been an hour and a half. We still have one more movie to go.
We can get it done.
We can get it done. So,
Hold on though, real quick.
oh yes, please.
Okay. So good timing. This actually goes into episode 3.
I don't know.
Um, it was originally a temporary stand-in for another Jedi, but after demonstrating his negotiation skills during a mission on Cato Nemoria, which is something that is mentioned briefly in the third movie that we're
Yes.
about to talk about, he has a
Yes.
official seat on the council.
Okay, so it is after this that he is. Okay, gotcha.
Very shortly afterwards.
Yes. So now we move 3 years later. It has been 3 years. The Clone Wars has been brewing. There are so many key players. We'll briefly mention them. That way you kind of know who they are because they're just kind of thrown into this movie last minute. You've already met Count Dooku, but Dooku is like the leader of the Separatists. You know the main Jedi in the conflict, that being Skywalker, Kenobi. But the biggest, I would say, the biggest new key player would be that of. Would you like to say, James? Because it is you. He's your boy,
General Grievous.
General Grievous. Would you like to give a quick synopsis of who Grievous is and what he is?
Oh, okay. I need to look up the original species because I can never remember what it is.
Leash.
Kalish. So I can never remember the original species of him. So
We'll just give a quick synopsis. Don't go into
yeah.
depth about yeah.
Yeah. Basically, alien species called the Kalish. He's a great warrior from that tribe, but he ends up taking a mass amount of bodily damage, rendering him basically inert. Um, Dooku ends up finding him and offers him a seat in the Separatists and repairs his body with cybernetic enhancements, which he becomes basically like 95% cyborg. Very little of his original body is salvageable, and he becomes this just hulking cybernetic monster. That just becomes a very big asset in the Separatist army, and it's the primary droid battle commander, if I remember correctly, something like that. I don't remember his official title, but that's effectively what he is.
Okay, so I'll clean up a little bit of what you said. I'll clean up just a little bit.
Yep.
Grievous actually was not found by Dooku. Dooku is the one who staged his injury.
Yes,
So
I knew that. I just
Grievous,
didn't know if you wanted me to say that. So that's why I said it that
no,
way.
that's fine.
Okay.
Grievous is basically injured to the point where he is dead. He's basically dead. And with his consent, Dooku decides to have the CSI or the Geonosians, which are two factions in the Separatist Alliance, repair his body, and then Dooku trains Grievous in the Jedi arts of lightsaber combat. Grievous is a notorious Jedi killer, and he is the only supreme commander of the droid army.
Yes.
He is the supreme commander of the droid army. He is the military commander. Now, Dooku technically is, but a lot of people, he doesn't say that because he wants to appear as more of the political leader. But Dooku is Grievous's master. Dooku does tell Grievous what to do, and he is like the puppet master. But Grievous is like a notorious Jedi killer, and he is a massive like separatist like target. So that's the biggest. I would say that's the biggest like new player to the movies.
Yeah.
So we start with 3 years later. The Clone Wars has been raging on, raging on, raging on, raging on. Hundreds of planets, hundreds of conflicts. It's been a living hell for everybody. And Grievous, General Grievous, makes a very insane maneuver and attacks the Republic capital of Coruscant and kidnaps Chancellor Palpatine, who is like, that's the leader of the Republic. He's like the top G. If they lose him, a lot of morale is going to go down
Very
the drain.
fast.
The war is pretty much over. So Grievous has him on the command ship, and they are trying to flee the system. They're trying to get away from Coruscant. But the Republic fleets came in, and the only two Jedi that were available were Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, otherwise known as his nickname, the Negotiator, and Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, the hero with no fear. These two have become immortalized in galactic legend.
Yep.
They are legends. They are revered by everyone. They are the heroes of the Republic. They're the poster boys, and they're like the spark of hope for the Republic other than Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
So these two are tasked with retrieving the Chancellor, and they get aboard Grievous's flagship after some hassle and some issues. And they eventually make their way to the Chancellor, and this is when it's revealed that Count Dooku is aboard the ship. Count Dooku is indeed. It has been a trap. They wanted Anakin and Obi-Wan to be on the ship, and Count Dooku, otherwise known as Darth Tyrannus,
That name sounds familiar.
The man who hired Jango Fett to create the clones, engages Obi-Wan and Anakin for the second time truly in the Clone Wars, because I think that in the Clone Wars show they do engage, but this is their last confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
In the old lore, this was actually the second time they only encountered, because they did not encounter each other, all three of them, before the Clone Wars came out. So the duel could persist. Palpatine is sitting there watching them while Dooku dispatches of Master Kenobi. Kenobi is knocked out and sent across the room, and it is now Anakin versus Dooku. And Anakin has grown so much in power that he is able to overcome Count Dooku by tapping into the dark side, and he has Dooku on his knees. Now, Palpatine tells him, kill him, and to kill him now, which Anakin, against the Jedi Code, says he should not, because Dooku is an unarmed prisoner. He is defeated.
Quite literally.
He need to take his life. Yeah. So he indulges himself and executes Dooku right there. Decapitation immediately. So Dooku is dead. And Palpatine tries to leave. Anakin takes Obi-Wan, and the ship that they're on, of course, starts to sustain heavy damage. Grievous is on the bridge, and as they are escaping, Obi-Wan has woken up by this point, by the way. As they are escaping, they are caught once again, and they are brought to General Grievous on the bridge, where another conflict ensues. Grievous and his Magna Guards engage Kenobi and Skywalker, which Grievous doesn't engage very much with them, if not at all. Grievous ends up escaping and fleeing the ship. Anakin and Obi-Wan return the Chancellor to safety, and Anakin sees Padme for the first time in months. It's been months since they've seen each other. They are married, mind you. They've been married for 3 years, because it's been 3 years since the Attack of the Clones. I don't know if I mentioned that.
You did at the beginning. You did.
And okay, good. Padme reveals to Anakin that she is pregnant. So during this marriage, it has been secretive because the Jedi cannot marry. They're not allowed to marry because it's an attachment. So it's been a secret marriage between the two of them. And Anakin says this is wonderful, and Padme's concerned that he'll have to leave the Jedi Order. He doesn't much care. So we move along to, oh man, what even happens next? It would have to be, man, am I forgetting Revenge of the Sith?
I think it's the
Oh my
dream,
gosh.
isn't it? I think it's the dream.
It would be the dream. You are correct. Thank you, sir. Much like Anakin was having dreams of his mother dying, he is now having dreams of Padme dying in childbirth. He's having dreams of Padme dying in childbirth and is desperate to not let that happen again. So, when the Jedi Council brings Anakin before them, no, backtrack. Palpatine decides to make an executive call and decides to have Anakin be his personal representative on the Jedi Council, which is not a thing that anyone has ever been able to do because the Jedi Council elects its own members, but Palpatine is basically saying, I don't care about your traditions. I'm going to put Anakin on the council. So Anakin is obviously thankful for this and pleased. And when he approaches the Jedi Council basically say, we don't like this. We will put you on the council, but you will not be the rank of a Jedi Master. You will still be a Jedi Knight. Which Anakin is insulted by this, which rightfully so, and also there are other reasons behind it, which we'll get to in a second. Mm-hmm. He is insulted by this because Anakin is far stronger than anyone else in the room except for possibly Yoda. Anakin is far stronger than any other Jedi in the room. He has done so much more. He's a decorated war hero. He's a brilliant tactician. He killed Count Dooku. He, out of every Jedi, he should have the honor of becoming a Jedi Master, but they deny him. Another reason is because in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, the Jedi archives that were referenced earlier, the giant Jedi Library of Information and Texts, there is a section of those archives called the Restricted Section that are only for Jedi Council Masters. Anakin wanted access to these restricted sections to look for a way to save Padme. So, to him, they've not only insulted him, they've not only denied him what he believes, and I believe, honestly, he deserves, but also they are preventing him from saving the love of his life. So, Anakin and Obi-Wan are speaking about this. They're talking, and Anakin is venting. And Obi-Wan approaches him with a off-the-record assignment for Anakin given by the Jedi Council. And that is to spy on Chancellor Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Now, Anakin and Palpatine have had a very good, it's like an uncle and favorite nephew relationship, almost like father and son, but not quite. It's like close friends. They're very close friends. Palpatine has always spoiled Anakin and always enjoyed Anakin as a friend. So this is again a slap to Anakin's face because it's like you put me on the council so that I can spy on Palpatine. I'm not going to spy on my friend. Because if there's one thing Anakin has that no other Jedi does, it's loyalty. Loyalty to his friends. Because, yes, the Jedi have loyalty to their friends, but they also don't have attachments. Anakin does have a lot of attachments. He's a very emotional person. Very, 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 very loyal to his friends. So, now we move on to Grievous. Grievous has fled to Utapau, a planet in the Outer Rim, on the outskirts of the galaxy. It's a low population, nothing dirtball. And he is now the leader of the Separatists. He contacts Darth Sidious, who has been playing both sides of the war. He's in charge of Dooku. He's in charge of Grievous. He's been in charge of everything. And basically, Sidious tells him to move the Separatist leaders, all of them, to their installation on the planet Mustafar, which that'll be important later. They are being moved to the planet Mustafar, and to expect Obi-Wan Kenobi to be sent after him. On top of that, that Dooku's loss was necessary, and that he will have a new apprentice soon. So we're transitioning back to Coruscant. Okay. The clones have found General Grievous. They've been looking for Grievous all over the place. They could not find him. The Jedi, I mean. But the clones were able to find Grievous. Clone intelligence found General Grievous hiding out on Utapau. And the Palpatine recommends that Anakin go. The Council denies this and sends Obi-Wan instead. Now, before they send Obi-Wan, Palpatine sits Anakin down, and when he tells him that the clones have found Grievous, he tells Anakin about a legend. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, a Sith legend, about a being who can stop people from dying, which this appeals to Anakin extremely.
I couldn't tell you why, but it does.
Yeah. They send Obi-Wan Kenobi after Grievous instead of Anakin, which is another insult to Anakin. And the Wookiee planet of Kashyyyk. The Wookiees are the, if you know anything about Star Wars, it's Chewbacca's species. They're very hairy, very woodland folk. They're very powerful, very strong, very closely allied with the Jedi, and it's a Republic planet. The Wookiees are being attacked, and they need support. So Yoda is taking a clone battalion to Kashyyyk. Obi-Wan is taking a clone battalion to Utapau. So, during this time, this is the last time Anakin and Obi-Wan see each other before all the shit happens. Before the shit goes down the drain. Their parting is good, and Obi-Wan leaves for Utapau. Okay. Woo! Kenobi. Yeah. Kenobi goes to Utapau alone, without the clones right now, to set a trap. He finds General Grievous and engages him in combat. Now, the clones come and the battle begins. Obi-Wan is able to subdue Grievous and get him to run again, because General Grievous is notoriously a coward.
Notoriously.
He chases Grievous across the planet, and it ends on the hangar, on a landing pad where Grievous is finally killed by Kenobi. Kenobi kills Grievous and continues with the attack on Utapau to destroy the droid forces. So Grievous is dead, Dooku is dead. They're both dead. They're gone. We move to Coruscant. On Coruscant, Palpatine invites Anakin to his apartment, to his chancellor's office. And this is where Palpatine reveals himself as Darth Sidious. Palpatine has been playing both sides. He had Sifo Dyas, the Jedi Master who made the clones, put in the order. He has been the mastermind behind everything since the Battle of Naboo. Everything. And he has been grooming, that's a bad word, but that's the right word, Anakin to be his apprentice, because he knows how powerful Anakin is, and he wants Anakin as his apprentice. So he tells him, hey, I know the ways of the dark side. Let me teach you my knowledge. Let me help you. Stop being a slave to the Jedi. Like, the Jedi are not your friend. They don't want you, and they're corrupt. So Anakin's like really confused, and he decides to turn Palpatine over to the Jedi Council. So he goes back to the temple, tells Jedi Master Mace Windu, and Windu's like, shit, we gotta go. And tells Anakin to stay in the Jedi Council chambers, which is where the council like sit and meet. Windu takes 4 of the best Jedi duelists in the Jedi Order, goes to Palpatine's office and confronts him. Palpatine eliminates the other 3 Jedi Masters so fast. It is unbelievable. Palpatine is a blur. He is a powerful Sith Lord. He wipes out the other 3 Jedi, and it becomes a 1-to-1 duel with Mace Windu and Palpatine, where it seems pretty even. Now, Anakin is sitting in the council chambers and becomes afraid because so far, out of every alternative, Palpatine is the only one who has given him a pathway to saving Padme. And he is afraid that the Jedi are going to kill him and that he'll not be able to save Padme. So he rushes off to the Chancellor's office. Windu and Palpatine are still fighting, and Windu is able to subdue Palpatine and have him on the ground without a weapon in a corner. He says he's under arrest. Anakin arrives, and Palpatine uses his force powers on Windu, which Windu deflects, and that is the moment where Windu changes his mind. So if you didn't know this, Windu actually was planning to arrest him. He was.
Yeah.
It was after Sidious used his Force Lightning. When he felt the power of Sidious's Force Lightning, he was like, nope, done. You're dead.
Yeah.
So Windu says he's too dangerous to be left alive and attempts to execute Palpatine, where Anakin steps in and amputates Windu's lightsaber arm, and Palpatine kills Windu, throwing him out the balcony window, and kills him. Palpatine is extremely scarred by his own powers. His own powers were reflected back onto him by Windu. He has been, like, deformed. This is why the Emperor... Yeah, we'll get to that. This is why he looks so decrepit.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin pledges himself to be his apprentice and is dubbed Darth Vader.
I know that name.
Darth Vader... No, you don't. Shut up. Darth Vader leads a clone battalion and marches on the Jedi Temple and wipes every Jedi out. All of them. Younglings, children, everything. They killed them all.
Yep.
At the same time, Sidious, or Palpatine, calls in his trump card. The cloned army that was given and made for the Republic by the Sith was a trap, because the clones all have something called an inhibitor chip placed into their heads when they are born. And this inhibitor chip, when certain phrases are enacted, they become like machines. It flips a switch in them and they follow orders no matter what. So this order would be Order 66, which is the Jedi are traitors, kill them all. So clones all over the galaxy execute their Jedi generals. They are hunting them. There are so many Jedi dying. A few do survive, that being Yoda. Kenobi survives, and a few other notable names, or lucky names. But there are survivors. After the attack on the temple, Vader visits his wife and explains in brief detail about the events, ignoring his genocide on the Jedi and his murder of the children at the temple.
But I thought she was into that earlier.
No, not anymore, not anymore. She's grown. Um, So Vader has been given the task to go to Mustafar, where the Separatist leaders are, and he is to wipe them out too. He's to kill all the Separatist leaders. So he does this. Obi-Wan meets up with Yoda and another senator who is pro-Jedi. He does not believe the Jedi have rebelled against the Republic. He is all for them. He's helping them out. And Yoda and Kenobi decide to return to Coruscant because when the Jedi Temple fell and when it was wiped out, the clone troopers and Vader rigged up a recall beacon for all Jedi to return to the temple, saying that the war was over and that they won. So it's a trap. And Kenobi and Yoda want to disable it or change it. So they need to get to Coruscant for that. They get on Coruscant. They're fighting through the Jedi Temple. They have no idea what happened. And when they do switch the code to, rather than, hey, come back to the temple, we won, now it's, hey, stay away. Stay away. The Jedi Order has fallen. It's over. Go into hiding. So as they're about to leave, Obi-Wan wants to know who did it and what happened, which Yoda knows. He knows. He's not dumb, and he's not in denial. He figures it out. But when Obi-Wan sees Anakin killing the Jedi, there's actually a scene that I really wish that had been kept that had been put in the movie from the book. When he sees that, Kenobi collapses and is crying, and he says this out loud. He said, "I should have let them shoot me." He says, "I should have let them shoot me. No, it was too late for that. I should have died on Naboo."
Wow.
That's the kind of trauma this man just went through, because he watched his best friend, his brother, the boy he raised, turn into the very thing they were going to destroy and become a monster.
Wow.
Now, Kenobi wants to fight Palpatine. He wants to kill Sidious. He does not want to kill Anakin. He can't do it. He doesn't think he can. It's his brother, which Yoda tells him, dude, if you go up against Sidious, you're dead. You're not going to survive. You're fucked. Censor that, too. Censor that. Censor that. But he says, you're screwed. We will be better if we divide our resources. I will take Palpatine. You will take Skywalker or Vader. And so they split up. Vader arrives on Mustafar, and he is carving through the CSI and the Separatist leaders like butter, the hot knife through butter. He is mowing these dudes down. No chance at all. None. After his redecoration of the Mustafar facility, he decides to go out on the balcony and look at the lava. And this is where you see a little bit of the regret in him, because he is crying. He feels terrible about what he's doing, but also he believes he has to because he needs to save Padme. Padme is the only thing that matters to him. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan approaches Padme on Coruscant and asks where Anakin is and tells her about the things he did. She calls him a liar and says that he wouldn't do that. And she realizes that Obi-Wan is wanting to find him so he can kill him. Mm. Obi-Wan, quote-unquote, leaves. And Padme goes to confront Anakin and get him to tell the truth. Obi-Wan stows aboard when Padme leaves. Whew. All right. We're entering the climax. Good. We're almost done. So, then we've got Yoda. Wait, no, I missed a very important part. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I missed a very important moment. It's either before or right while the Yoda and Kenobi are fighting their way into the Jedi Temple. There's a Senate session held where Palpatine says that the Jedi have rebelled against the Republic, the war is over, and he is proclaiming the Republic as the first galactic empire, with him as emperor. And everyone is all for it. All the senators, except for a small handful, are all for it. Because the deception and the manipulation has been so deeply inset that they don't even realize what they've done.
Yep.
And so Palpatine is now the Emperor. Yoda approaches Palpatine in his office, and the battle commences. At the same time, Padme lands on Mustafar and approaches Anakin, and Anakin is not who he was. Anakin is talking about killing the Chancellor and taking over the Republic and ruling the galaxy, becoming more powerful. Like, he is fully tapped into the dark side. He talks like a Sith now. And he still loves Padme, but he miscommunicates this because he looks behind her and sees Obi-Wan standing in the ship.
Mhm.
And believes that Padme brought Obi-Wan to kill him. So he force chokes Padme, and she passes out. Obi-Wan and Anakin trade words, and the duel begins. We're going to go to Sidious and Yoda since that one ends first. Palpatine and Yoda engage in a duel of the Force and lightsaber. And the duel breaks out into the Senate arena, which is where the Senate congregates. This is probably thousands of pods, like little hover pods that are the Senate pods. This is where you kind of stand for the Senate. It's kind of like a podium.
Yeah.
But there's pods being thrown, lightsabers clashing, and eventually the conclusion of it is Yoda and Palpatine interlock in the Force, and Yoda is forced to retreat. He loses the battle. So Yoda loses the battle and flees the planet with the help of the Senator prior. Senator Organa is what I'll say. Senator Bail Organa is the senator that's helping them. He leaves the planet, and now we're going to traverse to the greatest damn duel of any media. Brother versus brother, and it is Obi-Wan versus Anakin. They are fighting throughout the Mustafar duel. It is insanely tempered. Obi-Wan is actually losing. A lot of people get this confused, is that a lot of people like to scale Obi-Wan on Anakin's level because he beat Anakin. That is not the case. In the book, it even says, Obi-Wan is, panicked. Not panicked, but he knows that he can't beat Anakin. Unless if Anakin is not, arrogant. So eventually it leads to the shore of Mustafar, where Obi-Wan jumps to the high ground and taunts Anakin. Now, a lot of people misconceptualize this scene because of why Anakin would jump. Here's why. Anakin is trying to jump over Obi-Wan and perform the same move that Obi-Wan used to cut Darth Maul in half. Anakin is so full of himself and so prideful that he wants to beat Obi-Wan with his very technique. with the same way he did to Maul.
Which is possibly the
Which, of
stupidest
course,
thing you can do, because he
which,
created the technique. He
yeah.
knows how to counter it.
Well, no, Obi-Wan wanted him to do it. It was a bait. So it
Oh, I
was
know it
baiting
was.
Anakin's pride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was stupid for Anakin to even try and attempt that same attack.
Well, when you're so full of yourself, you don't really see it. You think you're
Yeah.
just so much more powerful. And he tries it, and Obi-Wan cuts him down. He loses both of his legs and his other arm, and he is now on the shore of the lava banks. And Obi-Wan is crying over him and yelling at him in just pain and regret, and he is just so full of sadness and just disappointment. And Anakin roars at him that he hates him, and Obi-Wan watches as the lava ignites Anakin's tunic. He is burning on the sand on the rocky shore, and Obi-Wan takes his lightsaber and walks away, leaving Anakin to die. So the reason why he walks away instead of finishing him off right there is for two reasons. One, well, three, I guess. One, Obi-Wan did not think he could do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
did not think he could kill him. Another one was he left it to the will of the Force. But the other reason being is when he was walking away, Palpatine's ship was like just about to land. So if he had gone down and killed Anakin, Palpatine would have intercepted him and gotten Padme.
Hmm.
So Obi-Wan takes the pregnant Padme Amidala aboard the starship, leaves as the same time as Palpatine is now landing on Mustafar. He had sensed it in the Force that his apprentice Darth Vader was in mortal danger, and he finds his ruined apprentice, the prized pupil that he had worked 20 years to groom and train and prepare, ruined. And in all honesty, he considers leaving him there. He considers leaving Vader there out of just pure anger, but decides against it. And Vader is taken to Coruscant. Padme is taken to another planet where she gives birth to twins, Luke and Leia. And these twins are separated so that the Sith cannot find them. Leia Organa goes with Bail Organa as his adopted daughter, and Luke Skywalker is taken to Tatooine by Obi-Wan to Owen and Beru Lars, Anakin's step-brother and his wife. Now, before Obi-Wan takes him to Tatooine, Yoda tells him that he has training for him while he's on Tatooine. And this would be the eventual netherworld training. So Qui-Gon Jinn, the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn, would teach Obi-Wan how to do this, as he had taught Yoda. Because Qui-Gon Jinn, for the first time, has been able to reach out from death, from the Force, because when you die in this universe, you become one with the Force. He has been able to reach out from death and communicate and teach. So around the same time, Padme's funeral begins because she has died in childbirth. The reason is stupid. I'm not going to get into that. But she did die in childbirth in what is now called the Emperor Palpatine Medical Center. Darth Vader is born. Darth Vader is born in his new mechanical suit and respirator, and he is risen off the table, and he explodes with rage when he hears that he killed his own wife, which is not true. He did not.
That's the lie Sidious
Palpatine
told him.
lied to him. That's a lie Sidious told him. But now he is eternally for Sidious's apprentice. And here's why. A lot of people question this too. Why Vader didn't just kill Sidious or stick with Sidious. Here's why. Because in Anakin's eyes, or Vader's eyes, that's all he has.
Okay.
Palpatine is all he has. So the movie ends with Vader and Palpatine watching the Death Star being constructed. People get that confused a lot too. That is a time skip way into the future. Way into the future. That is not right after those events.
No.
But
That's early Empire.
that is, yes. That is the first 3 movies.
Under 2 hours and 20 minutes.
We'll edit that down a lot, won't we?
It's no real need, honestly. It's not. It's about a standard episode size.
No. We need to censor some stuff, and there are a couple moments where we're like silent. Send recording to me as well, if you can. I don't know if you even can. Actually.
Oh God.
No, don't send it to me.
Yeah, no. No.
Because I want to listen to it. That's the biggest thing. I want to listen to it so that I can also look for discrepancies or issues.
I can just post it on the channel as a private video. That way only you can see it. And then that would be the unedited.
Yeah,
and then
let's do that. Let's post it as private, take it down, and then repost it once it's done. Let's post like the uncut, like unfinished ones, so that both of us could see it.
Yep.
That would be fantastic.
Also, you want to do an outro segment type thing? Because I'm still recording, so I'm gonna cut this out, obviously.
We're gonna cut this out.
Yeah.
My question was, do we want to try and start the original trilogy?
You want to try and do the what? I'm sorry?
The original trilogy? To get both episodes done?
Tonight?
We could try. Honestly, the original trilogy is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of complexion with that one.
Yeah. Well,
I really think I could knock that out in like an hour and a half. It's up to you. What do you think?
I don't mind. Let me see how much storage I have left. It's a 2-hour fucking video.
No, cut recording there. Cut recording there. Let's do the outro cut recording. And then, yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm saying, I'm going to see how much space I have left to record another segment. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Alright, so, yeah, however you want to do the outro, let's go ahead. Let's wait a couple...
start, because
you
didn't talk too much. How about you start it? Because I this was a lot of me talking, so...
Yeah, and we'll be quiet for just a little bit, so I have a buffer to edit. So, yeah. All right. Let me think. All right, that has been a quick synopsis of the first 3 episodes of Star Wars. Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
My ass.
Episode 2, it's faster than the. Hey, we got through 3 movies in the time of 1 movie. I think that's pretty daggum good. Yeah, that has been Phantom Menace, the Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith in one quick synopsis. The next episode in this mainline series should be the
next Holocron, you mean? You mean Holocron?
Yes, the next Holocron.
What episode are you talking about? No, the 100. I don't know about any episodes.
Yeah, the next Holocron, I'm still getting used to this, will be the original trilogy, and that should be a lot faster than this one. So...
Used to what, man?
Huh?
Used to what, man?
Huh?
Said you're still getting used to this. You're getting used to what? What are you getting used to?
Oh,
Something you get used to. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is normal.
Yeah.
Part of life. Yeah, no, he is right. That we'll call it there, and we will have the next episode out for you guys as soon as possible. We will be on Spotify. We will be on YouTube every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Spotify and YouTube. ATTRIOX Talks. Our email is at ATTRIOXTalks.
Nope.
gmail.com? No. ATTRIOXTalks at gmail.com. What is it?
At ATTRIOXpod at ATTRIOXpod at gmail.com. ATTRIOXpod at gmail.com. Where can we find? Yes. ATTRIOX pod@gmail.com. Where can we find you, Isaac?
You can find me on Twitch. I'm Snarklefloop, SNARKLEFLOOP. I post gaming videos, and I'm a little bit more vulgar there. Or you just email the podcast email if you want to get a hold of me. My name is also Isaac. And go ahead, James. Where can we find you?
Captite230 on YouTube and Twitch. Not so much on Twitch, but mainly on YouTube right now. Much less vulgar than Isaac.
You want
But
to spell that out for them, bud? Because I know you
yeah.
spell Captite a little weird.
Yeah, there's a story behind that one. So that is CAPT. Wait, CAPTTIGHT230. That is YouTube and Twitch.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We're hoping to catch you guys next week whenever we get that next episode uploaded and recorded. But
Yeah.
the next, I believe the next 2 episodes will be the original trilogy synopsis, which will be a lot shorter than this one, thankfully.
Yeah.
And the next one afterward will be explaining the origins and the mysteries of the Force specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, thank you for visiting our podcast. And if you want us to do any particular topics, go ahead and email us at the podcast email we just gave you guys. I'm James. I'm not James. I'm Isaac. That's James. Oh my gosh. I'm Isaac, and that's James. We will see you guys next week. I hope everyone has a great day, night, or evening, or afternoon, wherever you guys are. That's a peace out from me.